Up every morning, the break of day, his face was wrinkled and his hair was gray. You never know how long a man is staying. Donald made his daily round through the meadow and over in the high ground, past where the neighborhood kids were playing. 4 long miles and more to go. He knew he could make it if he just went slow. Sometimes it's hard to keep believing, but this time he was bound to fly, and he practiced hard as the days went by. You could hear his strong and steady breathing, and the words I know he said, I will climb that holy mountain in the hours of the day. Let it drain my sturdy body as it may. I have worked long and hard to weave this magic from my dreams, and I will not run from it till I'm laughing from the summit. If my life should end that moment, let it be, let it be.
Don Bennett has no trouble living up to his reputation of being one of the nation's top keynote speakers. His leadership abilities started long before he set out to become the first amputee to scale Mount Rainier. He has always been an active civic leader. He was president of the Seattle Chamber of Commerce President's Club, president of Sales and Marketing Executives, and an active member of Young Presidents Organization, and was recently chosen to travel the Northwest as Seattle's Goodwill Ambassador, King Neptune. At the age of 42, Don was in a tragic boating accident and lost his leg above the knee. The accident changed his life forever. Many of the sports he enjoyed with 2 legs now had to be done with 1. Using crutches instead of an ice axe, he continued to climb mountains. In 1982, Don became the first amputee to climb the 14,410-foot summit of Mount Rainier, the second highest mountain in North America, and was chosen one of the Sports Stars of the Year by the Seattle Post-Intelligencer. Pushing the limits, stretching your boundaries, and achieving your goals. This is the message Don brings to his audience in action as well as words. After previewing the following excerpts from a recent speech to a national convention, you will agree that Don has no trouble living up to his reputation.
Take those glasses off. Let's see what you look like. Yes. Well, I explained to him that I only had less than 20 minutes to get to the convention center, that I was speaking this convention. All he said to me, he just turned around, he looked at me, and he said, "Sir," he said, "you're not going to be late," he says, "because of me." And he took off in the through the Los Angeles airport, and I don't know how many people here ever experienced going 0 to 60 in a wheelchair, but I'll tell you, it's a great, great, great thrill. And we are playing soccer in Memorial Stadium here in Seattle against Seattle Pacific University. Now, Seattle Pacific University at that particular year was one of the top teams in the country. They just won 15 straight games, and we beat them in Memorial Stadium 5-3. And we're playing on one-legged crutches. Is there a common denominator of people who makes things happen? Is there a common denominator of people who push the limit? And after many, many hours of discussion, we would all agree on one thing. We would agree, of course, in general, that in order to be the first person on Mount Everest, or the first person to sail around the world, or the first person to cycle with one leg from San Diego to New York, of course it would take simple things that we so overwork the word. Of course you'd have to have a goal. Of course you'd have to make a sacrifice and determination and the willpower. That's all part of it. But every single one of them, we get down to an agreement. They all felt that during their time when they became the first, there was a point in their mission that they pushed the limits, just a little bit beyond what they thought they could possibly do. What a great feeling it is if you lose a limb or an arm and then still have the opportunity to compete in a sport that you love. And I could still feel up here now that feeling when I was in the starting gate. And I was saying to myself, Don, how lucky you are to be able to compete with one leg. Something had to go right that day because I think the snow was right, my skis were right, my attitude was right. And for the first time in my life, I won the silver medal in the giant slalom. And as I started to take it off, I jammed my foot into the ice and my foot started to slide. Well, see, when John Skirving jammed his foot into the ice, his foot started to slide too, but he had the other foot to grab himself. Well, instead of that, I fell. I got back up again, and John yelled to me, Don, you're going to have to really jam that foot into that ice. So I jammed my foot into the ice the second time, and I fell. After about 4 times, John said, wait a minute. A great leader on the mountain. He came back, he's carrying some 60 pounds. And John Skirving took his ice axe out, and for 4.5 hours, he carved holes in the ice for my toe. That's 150% physical feat. And he would yell, hop, and I would hop, and he would yell, hop, and even though winds were blowing at 60 miles an hour, I could see perspiration running down John Skirving's face. That's a leader working together with the same goals and the same feelings and the trust and respect that it takes to develop a strong team. But next to John Skirving and very close to me was my young daughter. And my young daughter, for 4 hours, all she was doing was screaming at me for the top of her voice. Because you have to scream on a mountain when the winds are blowing. And all she was saying over and over and over and over again was, come on, Dad. Come on, Dad. Come on, Dad. You can do it, Dad.